Yo, what's going on, yo? Today's solo raid is Mother Whale, so I'll go over all the boss's moves, then the teams and some of the replacements for the teams, and then at the end my one and done run as always. So hopefully I can teach you how to throw that harpoon at its crooked brown and take it down. And if I help you out, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's get going. So there's a bunch of moves that this boss does, but first off we have these missiles that are launched from the sides, and these missiles can be destroyed, as well as these pods on the sides that can be destroyed as well. And if you destroy these pods, they will stop spawning these missiles, which may be a better choice. But in the center you can see there is a core that can be destroyed as well, and it's very important to destroy this core before the shield appears, the purple shield, because as the shield appears, a wave of enemies is also spawned, and if you did not destroy the core, the boss will start buffing these enemies. You can see this shield icons on the side of these enemies, which means that their defense is increased, and so it can be very hard to destroy these enemies. And you can get yourself locked into a loop where you will not be able to destroy the first wave of the enemies before the second one comes, and that will not break the shield, because you have to destroy the first wave of the enemies before the second one spawns in order to drop the shield. So right now you cannot do any damage to the boss basically, and you get overwhelmed by these enemies, and then at the end you just get one shot, not only by the enemies but also by the boss itself right here. So it's very important to destroy the core before it goes into that shield move. Alright, so then right now I'm gonna aim right for the core to try to destroy it as quickly as possible, ignoring everything else until I destroy it. Then I'm gonna aim for the pods to stop these missiles from spawning, and as you can see, once they're destroyed, no more missiles are being spawned. And then I'm just waiting for the enemies to spawn. Right now it's gonna gain that purple shield, but these enemies now are super easy to kill because they're not buffed due to the core being destroyed. And then the second wave comes, and you can kind of destroy these enemies by AoE if you have an AoE character, for example like Rappy Redwood here. And then you can just destroy these enemies. They're not tanky at all, and you just wait for this laser attack, which the boss will do no matter what, but it does a lot less damage than before, so it's not really that much of an issue. And then you get into this QTE, which is iron coated, and if you fail it, the boss moves forward and deals significant damage, which you can cover through because it doesn't pierce cover, but it basically destroys your entire cover. And if you destroy these circles like this, it stuns the boss and you can do some free damage. And then about 1 minute and 10 seconds into the battle, you get into the mid-battle QTE, so make sure you hit those circles right because this is a one-shot move. And also don't forget to cover your other units so that they do not accidentally shoot the wrong circles. And in order to pass this QTE, you're gonna have to shoot 4 circles: center, outside, mid, center. They're in random positions, so you'll just have to look where they spawn, and if you get it right, you stun the boss for some more free damage. And last but not least, you get this move later into the battle where it starts shooting these lasers which target a single NIKKE, which cannot be destroyed, but you can stop this move by destroying the pods on the sides. So now let's take a look at an entire run with everything we've learned in succession. So first off, I'm aiming for the core right there to destroy the core. Once the core is destroyed, I'm aiming for the pods. Once the pods are destroyed, the missiles no longer spawn, so I'm free to do more damage to the boss itself. And then I'm just waiting for the enemies to spawn right here. It's gonna gain a purple shield, and it's gonna be there until I destroy these enemies, but they're super easy to kill, so it immediately drops. And then I'm waiting for the second wave, which is destroyed pretty easily as well. And now I'm just doing more damage to the boss and waiting for those lasers. Here it's charging up to do those lasers. Okay, here they come, but it's no problem. And here we have the iron coat QTE. You just get it down, stun the boss, do some free damage right there. Then it's gonna go into the QTE. I'm gonna go center, outside, mid, center. It stuns it again. Now I'm gonna take the time when it's stunned to destroy some of the pods on the sides. The pods are going down. Now if you destroy these pods too quickly, they may respawn immediately after you destroy them. So you just gotta pay attention to that. And then once all the pods are destroyed, the missiles are stopped. I'm just waiting for more enemies to spawn right here. Destroy them very easily. Here is more enemies coming from the top. Destroy them almost immediately through AoE from Rappi. More enemies spawn. Not a problem. And it's charging up to do another laser attack here. You can't really avoid it, so you just keep going. Take some heavy damage. Do the QTE. Stun the boss again. 3 damage. Destroy the pods on the side so we can do more laser attacks. We stop it almost immediately. And then it goes back into spawning more enemies and basically just repeats the whole process again, right? You destroy one wave, then the second one will come from the top. Destroy that wave, and then another one will come again from the top. And we're almost at the home stretch, 10 seconds to go. It's gonna do a laser attack, and here my units have too little health, so all of them died through from that laser attack. So you wanna make sure that your units have more health when that laser attack is coming, but we still get a respectable score, and that is it. Alright, so now for the teams. So first off, we have the Crown Little Mermaid Rappi team, which is going to be the most damaging team and the most important team in the solo raid, as well as any other raid for that matter. And then you have a mast here that can be replaced with Treasure Helm if you want to. And then the secondary DPS for me is going to be Eve, but you can really replace her with any other DPS. This team is pretty flexible in accepting the secondary DPS, so you can put anybody in here, for example Asuka, Cindy, or even Ludmilla here, or any other well-built DPS that you may have. Now for the second team, we have the Shotgun team, which is going to consist of Blanca Noir duo with Tove, with Dorothy, and Bunny Soda. This is the team that I'm going to be using, but you can replace Blanca Noir with Leona and Drake. In this team, you can also replace Leona with Grave, and this will work just fine as well. Additionally, if you want a healer just like the Blanca Noir team, you can use Tia and Naga duo here. Now for the third team, I'm going to be using Grave with Bunny Ellis, with the Killer Wife, with Milk, and Red Hood. Now I opted in to run Bunny Ellis here because I needed that extra healing for this team, but if you are built different, you can use Helm Aquamarine here, or even Maxwell as an off-burst buffer. Additionally, if you do not have Milk, you can use someone like Treasure Laplace here, or Alice. Now for the fourth team, I'm playing the Dot team with Raven and Mihara, with Helm as the on-burst healer, with Leader, and with Rosanna. But if you do not have Rosanna, you can replace her with Crust, and you can replace Mihara with Brady. Additionally, you can even play Maxwell here as an off-burst buffer for Raven and for Helm here, if you do not have Mihara. But moving on to the fifth and last team. First off, this is the team that I'm gonna be using. I'm gonna be using Cindy, with Rouge, with SBS, with Aid, and Ludmilla. But you can replace SBS, for example, for Anise, or even Treasure Laplace, or Red Hood. You can also replace Ludmilla with Maiden as an off-burst buffer here. And lastly, if you do not have Aid, you would use the full electric team with Red Hood, using Marie as the B2 here, and this would work okay as well. Now, one additional team that you may run is this team right here with Treasure Miranda, Grave, Snow White, Maxwell, and Helm Aquamarine. Now, you can replace Maxwell here with Treasure Helm if you need more healing, because this team right now has no healer, and this team requires you to have a high investment in Snow White and Maxwell, but works very well. And last but not least, you can use this classic team right here with the Maid duos and SBS and Alice. This team is pretty comfortable. It has a healer, has AoE, and a Iron Code unit, so you can break those QTEs. So that is gonna do it for the team section and this video as well. Like, comment, and subscribe, and stick around for the one and done run if you wanna see that, and I'll see you on the next one.